Welcome back to Cube 57. I'm Dr. Laura Murillo, President and CEO of the Houston Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. Thank you for joining us on our very first show here on Cube 57. We have another board member of the Houston Hispanic Chamber of Commerce joining us. He is Mark Montgomery. He is with BBVA Compass and he's the CEO. We're happy to have him here. Mark Montgomery, welcome to our program.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Well, we're excited. You know, apparently it's the Cube's birthday. It's their 8th year being on the air, and we're happy to be here with the team and happy to have you. You've been a tremendous board member. I can't believe it's been 5 years already.
It went by in a hurry.
It sure has, and I certainly have enjoyed my opportunity to serve with you all on the BBVA Compass board here in Houston. Have learned so much, met some incredible board members, and the work of BBVA Compass is very impressive, and your role has been certainly one that's been a key component to making sure that BBVA Compass is not only a strong bank, but really impressive, the role you guys have played in the community.
Well,
so congratulations, and
you.
tell us a little bit more about your role and what you enjoy about the banking business.
Oh, that's a great question. So my role is the Houston CEO for BBVA Compass. There are CEOs in various cities around our footprint in the 7-state footprint where we have ATMs and branches, and then we have a broader network around the U.S.
Yes.
But so my role is to help with the commercial bank, so small business, the emerging business unit, and the middle market unit, plus the wealth management side of the bank. I don't run the retail branches day to day, very, very hands-on that component. So I'm not involved on the retail side.
I think the rest of your portfolio probably more than makes up for that.
It does. There's plenty to do, always.
Well, and Houston's so diverse these days. It's not just oil and gas, and I know that you guys are all over the map, but it certainly has to help from a banking standpoint that Houston has become much more diverse.
Oh, absolutely. And during the last downturn when oil hit near $30 a barrel,
yes.
Our unemployment levels in Houston didn't fall, but maybe to 6.5%, which speaks to the diversification you just mentioned.
Yeah.
We're very fortunate in that.
So in Houston primarily today, what are you seeing are some of the areas that are really picking up that you're doing business with that, let's say 10, 20 years ago, were not a topic of conversation?
Well, I would just say today there is a lot of merger and acquisition activity. Seems to be, just in the past 6 months, a lot of people selling their companies, people buying companies, et cetera. Much more so than there was two or 3 years ago. And I think the valuations and the tax changes, et cetera, have kind of spurred some of that on.
Well, and we all know BBVA Compass has a global footprint. Tell us a little bit more about why that's important for Houston.
Well, it's very important for Houston, the global footprint. As an example, we are the largest bank in Mexico, BBVA Bancomer, if I said that correctly.
Everybody knows BBVA Bank, Bancomer, yes.
So we can pick up the phone and call the folks in Mexico and help our U.S. clients, and they will do the same here.
Okay.
So, and that's the same is true across the globe. We have banks in Central and South America and in Spain and Portugal and many other areas.
Well, Mark, that all is very interesting, and I know folks are all familiar with BBVA Compass. Let's talk about your work in the community.
Okay.
Can't talk about BBVA Compass without talking about the great stadium, the Dynamo that just recently had some great wins. So tell us a little bit, why the Dynamo, and why would you all put your name on that stadium?
Well, if you rewind about 10 years ago, and I've just now been at the bank 10 years, but it came just after BBVA bought Compass Bank.
Okay.
So we were known as Compass Bank in the community for forever and ever, and now we're BBVA Compass. So, well, how do you get your name out? Well, the stadium was a perfect way to do that, near downtown in the East End, and really, I think, spurred some of the development in Edo or the East End.
Absolutely has. Yeah, that area has totally transformed, and I'm sure we're going to continue to see that transformation.
Absolutely. Yeah. And then you think about what the Dynamo had won a ton back then,
yes.
and so associating our brand with the Dynamo was a natural. And then the new building at 2200 Post Oak.
Beautiful.
So we kind of bookended the city.
You covered yourself.
We did.
Sure. Yes.
And so shortly thereafter, we became the 4th largest bank in Houston from a depository perspective.
Yes.
But the thing that really differentiates us, I think, is the involvement within the community. a lot of our bankers are involved, they're on boards, they're plugged in to make a difference and create opportunity for folks within the city.
Yeah, and that's really true. I know that you guys have bankers on non-for-profit groups and organizations. You serve on our chamber board. You've done a lot with different housing groups, etc. And that is so very important. It really isn't just going to work and going home, but it's really something that you all have built in, of understanding that getting out there, knowing people, building those relationships, because in banking, at the end of the day, very similar products and services. It's about those relationships.
Absolutely. The relationships are the key for someone to be able to pick up the phone and ask a question.
Yes.
We tell our bankers on the front end of every call, when you're calling on someone for the very first time that you've never ever met, there's a couple things that can happen. One, you could win that business on the first call, which is highly unlikely.
Yeah.
The next piece is you could create a friend. So if you're not going to win that business, at least you need to leave the door open and let them know, hey, you have a friend here. You can call, you can ask any question you would like. We realize we're not going to win this business today, but we want to start that relationship and just use this as a sounding board.
Yeah.
And that kind of disarms everything and allows us to have the dialogue we need to have.
Very good. And we'll be right back with our next segment. Welcome back. We're so happy to be on Cube 57. This is our premiere on Cube 57. I'm Dr. Laura Murillo, President and CEO of the Houston Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, and we're back with our second guest today, and that is Mark Montgomery. He's the CEO here in Houston for BBVA Compass, a board member of the Houston Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, and we're going to get back and learn a little bit more about his career in banking and how he became CEO. Well, Mark, some great stories about your bank and all of the great things that you guys are doing at BBVA Compass, but I'm sure it was no easy feat working in banking to ultimately become CEO. So for folks who are watching, my question is, did you always know you wanted to be in banking, and did you ever dream that you'd run such a large international bank?
That's a great question. I did want to be in banking. My father was a banker. He ran First City's Trust Division for years and years when we moved to Houston in '73 till about '86. So I knew that banking is something I wanted to do, and I was always good with numbers.
Yes.
But I didn't know the difference between trust and commercial banking and personal banking, et cetera.
Yeah.
So all that came through a training program at Allied Bank back in the day. Yeah.
So growing up, were you always good at math in school? And what were you like as a high schooler or middle schooler, Mark?
Well, so you asked the math question, and there were two incidents in my life where I really was not so good in math, and I think one of them was third grade, and I just couldn't get this multiplication thing down, and so I had to stay after school and learn it. I was trying to do it my own way, not the way they were teaching me, which I learned that there's rules. And then in 8th grade, I just Algebra 1 just ate my lunch, and so I had to go to summer school and take that one over again.
Yeah, but here you are. So you overcame that math challenge, and for folks who are watching us, I think a lot of times we let that one setback sometimes define what we can do and can't do. And surely in your career there have been times when you've had some setbacks. How have you overcome those setbacks, and what's kept you going?
Well, I have a strong faith that keeps me going in the setbacks, and they will come. I mean, everybody has a setback. Things may not go the way we want them to go. Someone was telling me that the other day that if you're thinking about the past a lot, you may have regret. If you're thinking about the future a lot, you may be anxious. So you need to be living in the present, certainly taking the lessons from the past, but moving forward in the present.
So we have a lot of folks who are in college and they're getting prepared and trying to get into that job market. What advice do you have as someone who hires a lot of people? What advice do you have for them?
Great question. Well, certainly a 4-year degree would be at least would be great. If you're going to get into banking specifically, I would say take plenty of accounting so that you can know it better than most, so that you can come across as thinking on your feet and knowing the numbers better than most people do, particularly the clients that you serve. They know them really well, but if you can go toe-to-toe with them, you'll have an advantage. But I would ask for a mentor or two, some folks that you can talk to and bounce things off of, just so that you can set the stage for the success that you're looking for.
So today in your career as CEO, do you still have that mentor or someone you call when you're having a rough day or you're thinking about something? Are there still people that you call today?
Absolutely. There's 2 or 3 people that I just pick up the phone and call and say, what do you think about this?
Yeah.
You know, in the heat of the moment, you may be off a little bit, and you may be frustrated with somebody, et cetera. You need to, you know,
Calm
down, you know, get a good night's sleep.
I can't imagine you not calm, Mark. You're such a calm person.
You know, it's not often, but sometimes things will frustrate you, and
sure.
and people see that.
Yeah. Well, and it's not easy managing, you know, the work that you're doing, but you're out in the community a lot, and you don't necessarily have to be, but you've chosen to be. What are some of your favorite things that you're doing out in the community?
Well, I love Project Grad. That's just been a huge a blessing to be involved with those kids whose parents may not have gone to college, but the kids have a desire to go. They just don't know where to start. Where are they going to be in 20 years? I can't wait to see. You know, to have an impact in helping someone else grow personally and achieve their personal goals. That's pretty cool.
Well, absolutely, and they've been doing a great job for many, many years, and glad that you are there. But you have your own children, and for you, I'm sure that there's things that you want and have tried to instill in them. What are 2 or 3 things that you'd love for your children to always have instilled?
Just integrity and treating others with respect. You know, it doesn't matter who the person is, you got to treat them with respect regardless. You know, we all come with certain biases because of experiences that we've had, but that doesn't mean that new person you met is exactly like someone else that you may think is familiar, you know, from a situation in the past. So treat everyone with respect, treat them like you want to be treated, and go from there.
Very good. Well, Mark Montgomery, thank you for serving on the board of the Houston Hispanic Chamber of
bet.
Commerce. I can't believe it's been 5 years already.
I know.
You guys have been great to us, and we've enjoyed the relationship, the partnership, and thank you most of all for being on our very first program here on Cube 57.
Well, I'm honored. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Well, on behalf of the Houston Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, we thank you for joining us today. Hope you've enjoyed our guests, Paul Murphy and Mark Montgomery. I'm Dr. Laura Murillo, President and CEO of the Houston Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. Thank you.